Previously, in the dungeon of the Mad Mage, the party found themselves stepping into a miniature castle perched atop a tall spire in the middle, the 7th level of Undermountain. They were here seeking information about the Halaster, an artifact that Ezrah carries, a piece of his past, and apparently an item of great interest to the wizard Calabash. They were also investigating the trickster that plagued the stone giants that lived below the spire, though they had no guarantees that this place held the answers they sought. The castle was eerily quiet, but thankfully much warmer than the land below. Whatever the icy, mind-numbing chill that pervaded the lands below, it did not reach up to the castle. Finding themselves with no clear indication on where to look, the party did what they do best: began exploring wherever they thought seemed most interesting. A door straight across from the entrance opened into a large, open-air courtyard with beautiful flowers of differing colors in each of the 4 corners. In the center of the garden was a helmed stone statue of a mage holding aloft a spellbook. During their investigation of the courtyard, the party noticed 3 interesting things. First, the helm of the statue was metal, not stone, and it came off. Within it was a stamp proclaiming it the property of one Mad Goth, and that it was a replica of the greatest helm ever. Second, the spellbook of the statue seemed to be engraved with an actual spell that Ezrah took a rubbing of. And third, the statue was pointed towards the southwest patch of flowers, which seemed strange. Upon investigating the various flower patches, the party found nothing odd even after Ashes spent time digging in one of the flower beds. But they did discover that there was a seam on the base of the statue, and though they could find no means to move it, no means to do it, they were certain that the statue could move. As the party began to wrap up their investigation of the courtyard, they heard movement outside from where they had come, accompanied by a strange grunting and chuffing sound. And then, quite suddenly, they were confronted with an odd, gray-skinned creature with a squished face, dog ears, and leathery wings. It stared, mouth agape at the party, seemingly surprised and irritated by their presence. And then it lunged in to attack them. The party reacted swiftly, expert fighters, and leapt to defend themselves. The creature, though seemingly vicious, was unskilled, wild in its strikes, and the party cut it down with ease. But as it fell, the strangest thing happened. Its form liquefied, and then evaporated, leaving behind no trace of the creature. Ezrah had a nagging itch in his mind about the beast, but was unable to pin the thought down. And so, the party continued exploring, deciding to head westward. Here they found a doorway with a copper piece stuck in the frame. Matashtai had the thought that perhaps something was marking the door to see if it had been opened or closed, and so pocketed the copper piece and marked the spot where it had been. Inside the room, they found a horde of random items, mostly broken or unusable in some way, and many others serving seemingly no purpose. After some brief investigation and some more destruction from Ashes involving some garden gnomes, the party left. Matashtai made sure to replace the copper piece, thus potentially secreting their passage. Further north, they found a privy/powder room, one that was quite lavishly appointed, in fact. But while they were investigating the place, they were confronted again by another one of the gray-skinned winged creatures they had fought before, only this one seemed to recognize them. Having the idea that perhaps this creature was the same as the creature before, the party tried to communicate with it. But while the creature seemed to understand their speech, it did not speak back. Matashtai tried speaking to it telepathically and found its mind shielded against intrusion. The creature attacked again, though its attitude seemed almost begrudging. The party tried to subdue it rather than kill it, hoping perhaps they could figure out a way to communicate with it. but the creature bit its own tongue in response and once again liquefied and evaporated. And once again, Ezrah felt like he recognized the creature somehow, but couldn't place the information. Now convinced that this creature was somehow coming back to life, the party decided to look for where it had come from. They found a study that had been shredded. Books, furniture, everything torn to pieces as if by an ill-mannered pet that had been left alone too long. In the southern portion of the room, next to a writing desk, was a strange bronze lamp with an odd gray fruit hanging from it. As the party watched, the fruit grew larger. They concluded that this must be the creature, and at that moment, things finally clicked in Ezra's mind. This creature was a homunculus, a mage's familiar, bound to the life force of that which created it, and immortal as long as that mage lived. Only homunculi were normally tiny, harmless. The creature was quite big and, while unskilled, could definitely harm them if left unchecked. For some reason, it didn't seem affected by the castle's shrinking effect. In this same room, the party also found a doorway leading to another chamber. The frame of the door was made of sturdy metal, but the glass panes of the door had been shattered, letting the party see beyond into a strange study. The walls were covered in wands, scepters, orbs, and there was a desk made of tomes lacquered together, an odd full-body mirror with the homunculus's head as a frame, and an open iron chest. Bones tried picking the lock, and though he failed, he was certain he could achieve the task with time. But that fruit was getting larger by the second, and the party was sure it would spawn the homunculi once more. Ashes decided to try to brute force the door down and was knocked on his backside for his trouble, then hit with a beam of force as some magical deterrent activated. It seemed that the party had no choice. If they wanted in the door, they would have to wait for Bones to pick the lock. In order to avoid facing off against the homunculi once more, Matashtai ripped the now football-sized fruit from the lamp, and it liquefied the exact same way as the homunculi. It then immediately began regrowing. The party realized they would need to continue this process for as long as they were here, at least if they didn't want to see the homunculi again. Ashes took over the task after realizing that Matashtai had qualms with it. During the downtime, Ezrah noticed a large, vibrantly colored creature flitting outside of the castle, just within range of Matashtai's lantern of revealing. Also during this time, Ashes was accosted by an unseen servant that took his boots and cloak and stuffed them into a bag along with several other soiled bits of linen and cloth. And then, finally, after a long process of picking the complicated lock, Bones opened the door and stepped inside. And the party heard a massive explosion.
I don't recall that part, but
coming from one of the floors above. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.